I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion. Good morning, Sanbonan, Dumelang. It's long overdue. Welcome to Unpopular Opinion, where I will be hosting South Africa's most greatest, most fabulous, the ones who've got that thing. So if you have that thing, you will be on this couch. I'm so excited this morning. We're unpacking spirituality. I got you guys Gogo Dineo. I know you guys know her as like a celebrity sangoma and drama, but for me, I think the importance of her journey is that she has popularized African spirituality in our country, and more of you guys are accepting of your journey because of women like her who have contextualized Ubungoma and the journey and the gift and what it means, especially in this era we're living in, you know?
But, you know, popularism comes with mockery. So even when you said, you know, celebrity drama, and I guess everything exists in polarities. And when I did the work, for me, it was really to tell the true story of African spirituality, not what we've been fed by mainstream media, not what we've been fed at schools, because I come from a very strong Christian background, and I was not a believer of anything, actually, that's surrounded with African belief systems. So when I came back from a Ephehlweni, and I was like, the miracle in my life, and the miracle was not because there was anything material that I could hold that was tangible, but that hole and the shallowness I felt, even with everything I had at the time, was filled. And I knew that something within me has been made well. And I was like, there's no way we can continue wanting to believe that this is demonic, this is something for us to move away from. And that's how the journey started, you know? And it was from that place of like, we gotta be able to tell the truth about who we are and what African spirituality is about.
I think what's interesting about what you're saying is that you come from a Christian background. So give me that journey, Guti, because that is what we struggle with. We struggle with our Christian parents who look down on this thing. So how did you break into this thing? How did you make it make sense and become more real?
So I think for me, I tried everything. I mean, I was in a mental hospital for 6 months. That didn't work. I was...
Why were you? So what would lead you to the mental hospital?
So I had an episode when I was at an American school, because I finished my high school in an American school. So I think I probably went into a trance, and nobody knew what it was. And they saw that as psychotic. And I was taken to a hospital, which led me to be, you know, based in hospital in a mental institution for 6 months. And this was in my matric year, in my final year of high school. And when I went home, then I was given prayers, and demons needed to be, you know, exercised inside, you know, inside of me, and because there was the devil roaming around. And it was interesting because I remember a very vivid vision I saw where I thought I was dying, and I did see like graves, right? I saw graves, and I saw people wearing black, and of course the belief system I had also was that black is evil. From school, we are told that, you know what, unga be no, you will be white as snow, right? And you uzosha in hell and be black like the devil. So I guess when I saw that vision, my own level of consciousness misinterpreted it. Basically, it was a call of like, it is time for you to reconnect with those who lived before you. Because those who lived before us, the symbol of the dead is a graveside, even though that's not actually a symbol of the dead for us as Africans. Because I tell people that it is a misconception to believe that we have no land. So we had to find a sacred space to commune and connect with our ancestors. So grave sites were the nearest place we can go to. But
when you said we had no land, please unpack what you're saying.
So let's speak during apartheid, when everything was taken away from from us, including our fathers being taken away from their homes. And when our fathers were taken away from their homes, our homes were fragmented. And we were moved from our own pieces of land where we would know Guti, there was an allocated site for our ancestors. So, aksana ikotlo, because people assume Guti, ndombas are for sangomas, but we would have indluga koko or we would have imisamo.
Yes.
And those spaces would be outside, you know, for amanguni, it would always, esixhoseni kaloku kunobhlanti, but there's irondo, and then ezulwini bathi indluga gogo, and then there's also umsamo. And then in the Basutus, they will have a sacred tree where they would go and phahla, but that would be far away from the noise and the hecticness of the day-to-day living.
Okay.
So when we had no land, we still needed to communicate with our ancestors. So we would go, you know, to the gravesites. And I think also religion misled us to believe that this is where we put flowers and we talk to them.
Yeah.
But we don't talk to dead bodies, we talk to living beings.
Yes.
Because in African spirituality, it's the body that is mortal, but the spirit transforms. And that's why we lived our lives in a way that we needed to live, so we become an ancestor. An aspiration of a human being in that time was to be an ancestor whose name would live past their generation, you know, past their lifetime.
Does that mean not everybody becomes an ancestor when you say that?
So yabona ngesingisi ne bathi sonke sibathi ancestor kuthiwa.
Yeah. If you've lived, you died, then you become an ancestor too.
But not everybody becomes an ancestor of light. Actually, not everybody crosses over. I want umuntu yeqa aye ezweni lamathonga, because how you've lived and what has been done, you know, or the processes that you received upon your passing, that will help you transition uyeqe uyezweni lamathonga, or you get entrapped. So, and become between the two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead. Hence, but or there's something, there's a spirit, there's an energy. Because we lost those things, we lost those teachings, we lost those rituals. You know, I mean, as I said to you, Guti, we just had a death in the family. Yeah. Umzala even sounds more better than a cousin, because a cousin finds like, you know, sazalana. And I remember the first death I experienced was of my grandfather, a man that raised me, a man who, when you get to know me, you understand that actually a lot of who I am and what I've become is credit to him, because I was raised by a great man. And I remember that when he died, the energy shifted that made us all be aware that something is gone, a life has been lost. So we went into mourning, the windows were smeared with ash, the bed was moved around, things really shifted, we wore dukes, you know, and people nowadays will be like, oh no, that's so primitive, that's so ancient, without realizing that actually there is a deep psychological...
Served the purpose.
No, it served, because we would then have to come to terms that a part of us is dead. Because when somebody dies, a part of you dies with them. And if you don't follow through certain burial rituals and rites of passages, then that's why people become even deeply depressed post the death. I think I went through a bit of a dark space, but it affected me later, because there was one thing that was taken away from me, is that I wasn't allowed to bury my grandfather. I'm the first grandchild on my maternal side of the family. I was 13 when he died. It was my mother's generation first funeral. So they had no clue what was supposed to happen. So they waited for the family to come from Zanin and give them instructions. And they're like, no, they're not supposed to mabiten, because it's not allowed. And they're just like, okay, you guys can go. And I was like, then is he really dead?
So you didn't get the closure that you get when you see...
No.
Yeah.
So not everything that is traditional does serve, you know, because I think for me, a lot of what I'm seeing even currently in social media spaces about African spirituality. And I'm like, do you understand that comes from religion? That's infused with religion. It's
like what?
The whole thing would say you are held at hostage by your ancestors. Like, if you don't do this for your ancestors, they will punish you.
No, our ancestors don't punish.
No, I don't have ancestors like that. I don't know about yours. But that's a distortion that comes from religion, because religion has taught us to fear God instead of revering
It was
God.
about power and control.
Yes, and domination. So then we have, you know, teachers of African spirituality that are really threatening people in the name of ancestors. I mean, you see what's going around. Like, if you don't do as they say, you will see their wrath. And that's not how it works. So
I've seen that we're going through an era where there's no board of sangomas who hold people accountable for putting Ubungoma into bad disrepute?
Well, I think Ubungoma is actually part of a bigger, larger system of the country. Nobody holds anybody accountable in this country. We have a country where we cannot...
have a problem.
Where, you know, people are either victims, you know, or, actually, because taking no accountability is because you believe you're a victim. So if somebody goes and, you know, does something against somebody else's will, it was and like, no, but they stole my husband. You are playing the victim. So I did it because I was a victim. You understand what I'm saying? So because we've got no sense of accountability, and Ubungoma, it's a big part of our community, meaning part of the system, the political system. I mean, we even have a faulty, incorrect political system. How we are governing, it's not... So how are we expected to govern a bigger part of our system, which is the spiritual side? Because Ubungoma is one part of African spirituality. It's the healing arts of African spirituality. There are other parts that connect African spirituality. There is a way in which we rule and govern. So when those things are fragmented and are unknown, then you are trying to really govern this part. That's why there's so much. Yet I do believe that we need to have some sort of regulation or regulatory body, because people excuse behavior at umthetho empande, no, then these things are too different. You know, when I went into Enzitong because my grandmother's mother is Mxhosa. Abongala bovumisa bomlotha. When I did it, and dear Eastern Cape, because Mendi undatonga, meaning I dreamt of it. Every ancestral initiation process, I was shown and I was led there. And when I got there and I was on my knees, ezilaleni, bati sisbige, and I was with my dad, achoge guti singobani, and then bati I galoku sistineo, there's plenty healers apa who utongebani. So I needed to say, Ditonge, this person. So I was like, wow. So it's not only in Dao, because it was in Dao first, right? Where I used to think, when you have initiating a sin down, it is important to dream, and I can unpack that later. But even as Kosen, and I realized that Amatonga are very incremental, because you are being guided to the next steps, because and the mula umama uzo yokobela esixhoseni abomama who initiate would say vulindlela, that's my Xhosa name, uthonge ntoni sixelele, and I would say I did, because then it led them to the next process. Then I went to Katini, meaning in the forest. I'm learning my Xhosa terms, guys. And I went there because of the dream I had, and exactly what I saw in the dream that I needed, I found it. And this was 2021, girl. It's not 1856. So when I speak about the distortions of African spirituality, where people like, hi man, who dreams these days? Dreams are an incremental part, because dreams are messages from the spirit world. So how do you even attempt to get pehlweni if you have not connected to the spirit world? How do you know you are gifted if you have not seen Izinto on the other side? And that's very troubling for me to see.
The relationship between dreams and real life.
Yeah.
That parallel, you know, because we can't lie to ourselves. Half of it is here, and half of our life is in the sleep state.
Yeah, but because also we need to understand that we are multidimensional beings, right? We are body, mind, spirit, soul, and emotion. We are all of those things. So, of course, when you are dreaming, part of it, you are traveling. You are traveling into a past timeline, to a present timeline, to a future timeline. So not every dream is about the future, and not every dream is about the past, and not every... So it's no either or, it's an and. So that's why even when you are looking into dreams, you become quite discerning, because there's people whose dreams are their own desires, because Ubungoma has become so trendy that everybody wants to be one.
Exactly.
Right? Because it has given us a platform to become popular. I'm on your show, somebody loves you, sees me here, dreams of you, and in their beats. No, it's a desire. So we need to end with, and this I gotta say, one of the things we need to start to call each other on is that we have become irresponsible healers.
Yes.
And I think for me, Emandulo, once you become irresponsible and reckless, you are not recognized as Gogo. I am Gogo Dineo because in me, I carry eldership. Eldership comes with responsibility. So the minute we become irresponsible and sibonisa imfihlo, and people would be like, no, it's secretive. I'm like, yabona, there's a difference between intellect and wisdom. Yabona? People can be intelligent but unwise because wisdom is cultivated through life experience. And that's why abo matwasa bamo 2-minute noodles, abo 2 months initiation process will give you intelligence but not wisdom because you understand Guti. Ubungomeni, there's a difference between sacredness and secrecy. Secrecy is about protecting an individual. Sacredness is about protecting the practice itself. The sacredness of the practice, exposing a particular ritual jeopardizes the practice because it's being exposed to those who are not supposed to see it, who are not supposed to engage with it yet. It jeopardizes those who are supposed to go through it because they start to question that process. Intelligence is not wisdom.
It's a lot. It's a lot because you have to be discerning. Like you say, it's very trendy. The issue of fake sangomas. How do you know when it's authentic?
Are we talking about fake sangomas or abatagati, aka calling themselves sangomas?
You see, there's even that. There's people who think they've got a calling and don't.
Yeah.
And it's just trauma. Because there's a psychological trauma that's happening to some people, and then they call it ubungo.
No, wait here. We all have a calling, but not all to be zangom.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
So we need to understand that all of us exist on this planet because there was a calling. We were souls in the spirit world. And we incarnated into the physical bodies because there is a need for us to be here. But are we all called to be abangoma? No. And are all izangoma called to become healers? No. And are all healers sangomas called to be gobelas? Definitely not. And are all gobelas meant to be sanusis? Definitely not. You see, that is where we get it confused because you're right. People can have a calling and they are not aligned to what their soul has brought them to be here. Somebody is sitting, is an accountant, but their true calling is to be a painter. And they go through all the symptoms of distress, right? Because it happens in your psychology because now you are depressed because you are deeply suppressing who you are because painter versus accountant does not sound fancy enough of a title. You know how it is. When I said to my dad, I wanted to be an artist, go and volunteer. And that's what I did. I became a volunteer for... I became a peer educator of HIV and AIDS. And I'm grateful for that 1 year where I had no pay, but I went to work every day and I showed up. I never was off work unnecessarily and got paid a bag of tomatoes end of the week. And that was distressing to my mother because you know how we grow up in black communities where like, but abantu bazothini kaloku, you come back with tomatoes and what are people gonna say? Yazi, maybe try applying at a retail because my neighbor's child uzanama in and I said, Ma, I know that I'm set for greater things and if I settle for retail, I'll feel comfortable. I'd rather volunteer and gain all the experiences I needed because I am a teacher today because that foundation was laid and was laid when I became a peer educator because I needed to stand up, you know, in front of my peers and teach about a very unpopular topic at the time, HIV and AIDS. This was in the year 2000 when my diploma couldn't arrive from the States. Because when you go to an American school, you don't get a matric certificate, you get a high school diploma.
Oh, yes.
It just went a disappearing act. When spirit is in the works. Didn't arrive, it got here 6 months later, so I couldn't go to varsity. So my dad was like, well, you know, abo college akona, certain colleges are here. I'm very mindful not to promote unnecessary people who don't deserve this airtime.
Thank you, Cam. Thank you.
I'd rather promote those who need it. So I wanted to go to a specific college, and then my dad was like, tell me 3 things, and it was drama, advertising, and journalism. So all of those things are creative, professions. My dad was like, no, my child, you're going to be very poor. I thought you're going to do business management. And my dad was running a tavern at the time. And it's like, no, Dad. It's like, okay, well, hambu yoba community work because that's what you want to do. And I went there and I did community work.
The thing is, when it's when you just love people and you're born to serve. You're born to serve.
Healing is about service.
And you can be brilliant, you can be good at maths, but when you have been born to serve.
That's me. I was an A student in math. I got 90%. It was also not easy. I mean, I'm born in 81. You know, I mean, I love saying I'm 41. I don't know.
I love it. I love the 40s.
I love it. I love it. It's just like...
The 40s are so nice.
Ne? When they say life begins at 40, you feel it. You feel it. It's like, it is... I've been Gogo Dineo since 2014 when I first was part of a mainstream media space. I was Power FM. That was my first radio show. But I have never been more unapologetic about being me than when I was in my 40s.
You take up space at 40.
When somebody wants to ask me, Guti Gogo, why don't you have a TV show? And I'm like, I am not going to do my ancestors an injustice by making this work mockery. My brand is not about mockery. My brand is about really reawakening people to the truth of who we are.
Because some people are so quick and easy to just...
No, but you know how many shows I refused? I mean, there was one. You know, Sabak niggas a contract.
I know.
Girl, there's a contract.
The money
was there. Yeah. I was like, I've never seen such a huge PTM in my life. Like, I've done so much work.
Yes.
And I was excited, and it kind of felt like I was going to do my own thing because I was like, no, this is what I stand for. I'm very clear. This is what I stand for. I'm a teacher. I am about celebrating Africanness and bringing integrity to our identity and our spiritual, both our identity and spirituality. And they're like, yeah, Gogo, no. And, you know, because I'm diverse, I don't only throw bones. I actually, you can give me your hand, I can tell you your stuff. You know,
tell me.
Yes.
Hey. Come on.
Hey.
Come on.
Let's pause there. Like, I just got uvalo, not anxiety uvalo. I don't know how to describe it in English. So, yeah, and then we were, you know, they were busy booking my flight tickets, busy looking for wardrobe, because they even give you a budget for wardrobe. That's how nice it was. And I was like, cool, man. You're saying I'm a pie, make outfits, right? Save some of the money, it could go into something else.
You were ready.
Right.
You were ready for the bag.
No, it goes to commission. They go to the head of channel. The head of channel is like, no, we're not about saving people's lives here. This is not about people's lives. We don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
We want Daily Sun up in here.
Exactly. No, they were like, we want drama. They were very clear. So even when you said celebrity, and that's why I think it was very difficult for me to, when people say you're a celebrity Sangoma, I am a celebrated Sangoma.
And wait, I think you misunderstood me. Okay, now I see. No, I meant Sangoma to the celebrities.
Oh, hey, that one as well.
Yes okay, fine. Well. So there's two.
Yeah, no, there's two, because people will call me Celebrity Sangoma because I am celebrated for the work that I do. I think since 2014, I have left an incredible record. Yeah. And before 2014, nobody was a gogo. There were traditional doctors, or there were so even when I went, I was very intentional. I don't want to be traditional doctor, because I'm not a traditional doctor. I'm a gogo, an elder, a custodian of wisdom, a vessel of healing. I'm a facilitator. So I needed to own that eldership, but I knew it came with huge responsibility. And part of it is saying a lot of no's, even though it is something that looks really profitable at that time. It's very shiny, very glittery. You are thinking of like, oh my God, what will this do? I came onto this platform because I knew what my calling was. It was to be a teacher. So I understood that where I was not given an opportunity to be a light bringer, I'm not going to say yes. So when it went to head of channel, anyway, let's finish the story. At no, sifuna mapopa spinach, but sifuna madrama batshela ukuthi batshontshe iphentika yakho umama khunglisile, your husband is cheating. And I'm like, I'm going yoshisa impepho. Ngibize ibongo zabantu. Ngibize bakithi and make and lie. And really lie for TV and for money. I said no. No, I said no. And I mean, you can imagine, I already blocked out my date, so it means I said no to other work to accommodate the shooting, because we're like, Gogo, we gotta shoot. Everything was there. I was signing the contract.
And when something doesn't sit, it doesn't sit, eh?
No, because a lot of times shows for me, they die before we get to the other side, because when they come to me like reality TV, I'm not a what are you gonna learn? So I would have my camera crew following me to do this interview. And then the next thing they're going to show me is then I'm at home with my family moaning, you know. Then I have to make sure that when I come, I collapse and act like I'm dying because of reality. Like, no, you know. So I was like, no. I'm not. I mean, I've built this work with consistency and really trying to create impact. And being impactful sometimes is not the most popular thing to do, because when I did it, when I became Gogo, nobody wanted to call on radio. People will tell us we need prayers, we need Jesus. I don't know if we were looking for him or something, but people would say those things, you know, and it was unpopular. And then when now it went to mainstream, because mainstream is when I went to Metro, then people were realizing like, oh my God, this is great. Then we had parasites and opportunists who now misuse this for their own gain. And that's why I said to you, we need to be clear that our fake sangomas are, let me differentiate it for you. Fake sangomas are those who falsely mislead us to the light, right? Those are the ones when you come and they say, no kokos is opahla twasa, but they can see that you actually have a mental disorder and I cannot intervene. You've got a chronic medical illness that needs allopathic interventions and not spiritual interventions. Those are fake sangomas. Those who think...
That's what I wanted to talk about, the mix between science, psychology, and spirituality.
Yeah, so let's talk about the fake. We cannot leave the dark ones, abatagati, in the name of... Those are the ones who would bluntly say, I will do harm and evil upon the other because I've got the powers. Ubutagati, asubungoma.
What about the ones that do their things to their baby daddies?
Yeah, that's witchcraft. You see, and that's a very, it's not funny, it's very hurtful, because, you know, I've been a Sangoma for 12 years, and I've been working as a healer since 2003, but I initiated as a Sangoma, you know, in 2010. And what I've realized that people are so untruthful. I have initiated, where somebody's child will be 21 years of age. And because they know what they're about to undertake a life or death ritual, they are obligated to tell the truth. I had to make them the dead because they could afford to raise this child. Financially, they were in a good standing because baby daddy is a nobody. So I needed somebody to make them a daddy. So even when I hear people say like, no, but men have to be held accountable. There's one thing
women also have to be held accountable.
And we also need to understand that we can never play God in people's lives. And for me, it's disheartening when you're saying you're doing it to your baby daddy, because you don't understand that which you are sending to your baby daddy leaves an imprint onto your offspring. Because loyo mntwana uyosala nehlozi elibi amaqala kamama, because nobody is to interfere with people's free will. If daddy's free will is not to be a responsible dad, what he reaps, he shall sow, right? But it's not for you to play God or ancestor in their lives, because in the spirit world, as spiritual healers, our responsibility is to uphold what we call the natural laws. And one of the laws that we work with is the law of consent. That's why just because your mother is worried about you. What if your mother is worried about you because your mother is trying to tame you? Right? What if your husband is worried about you because they're trying to keep you in line? It's an act of domination and control. The minute people start to use muti to save themselves and excuse it as for my children, your children didn't ask. Did they ask because they don't have the logic and they don't have the cognitive abilities to really process what's going on with daddy right now. Because what if you're saying that's their daddy and it's not their daddy? And I'm saying, we are somewhere else. Because there's a lot of women. There would be 4 men here and the paternity test is negative. to all of them. So I think, that's why when people say, are you an activist, are you this? I run away from certain titles because what is really important for us is that not to support each other blindly without really understanding the context, because there's always two sides to a story. And we do understand that we're going through some hard times as women. But I also want to say that we need to understand that this whole thing of just attacking one another, black woman towards black woman towards black man, that's the architecture of colonization to continuously keep us divided, because divided we fall apart. You understand? So even in the healing space, you see the divisions or how people would compare us, how people, I think all of this thing is just like a parasite that's feeding from one sector of our system to another sector of our system. So you see it as well how colonial belief systems in mainstream media wants to make themselves look good by promoting African spirituality, but they're promoting the distorted versions of African spirituality. How do we make it okay when somebody says, Mina, I will bewitch somebody, and we want to air that on radio? We want to air that on TV.
What I want people to understand from you is the good and the bad. Because good and bad coexist in this universe, I guess. So it will exist also in the healing space, which is what you're trying to unpack to us. So how do I say to someone, no, you don't have a gift, you're lying. You don't. So where's that line?
So I think, like you said, let's look at the red flags, right? I think when we say, let's identify red flags, when somebody is overdoing things, when somebody is always trying to get our attention, that's even not a red flag that they're not an authentic healer. It's a red flag of a mental disorder.
Yes.
Because I think what is becoming common, we're starting to understand, narcissistic personality disorder, but there's also borderline personality disorder. There's also bipolar disorder. So there's a lot of healers who are mentally not well as well, and they have the gift. So when we identify the red flag of when you always need attention, because to trend gives somebody a fulfillment. It's like, oh, I'm seen. Because social media has made visible of people's mental disorders, really.
Yes.
The other red flag is when people are promising too much, when they think they know everything, right? So when somebody can just say that, Mina, I can bring back a lost lover and enlarge your penis and do, really, because each healer is also given a mastery. Not all of us are good at the same things. I said that. When somebody instills fear, run, because healing is about returning to love and order. So the minute you are being, fear is being instilled because you're going to be manipulated, you're going to be easily misled. The minute somebody promises quick fixes, spirituality is complex. We might all have a street, but what caused it might be different. So when I'm always giving you DIY solutions, this is how you make money, this is how you cleanse yourself off. Come to the river, we are going to be doing a mass cleansing. Run. Because when we are healers, our responsibility is for me to access your spiritual world and to see how things are sitting in that world. But I can't access it without your consent. The minute you book to come see me, you are consenting for me to access that space. So even when you open your hand, when I say I do palm reading, you've given me some sort of consent there, right? But is it consent or is it coerced because you were excited and enthralled? Or you like, let's see if Gogo can do this thing.
You see, excitement.
So, but when Uza in, that's why we've got is indumba. Last seven is called because you have taken your money, you have taken your time, you have taken yourself.
You're serious.
It means you are here to receive the healing.
Yes.
Even when people do that, there are, charlatans who, when you go there, hey, we are fakoko. Hey, if you don't do this thing, hey, Batu.
And they always tell us about abortions we've never had. There's just always drama.
Sense of agency. There could be abortions that we do have. We do lose babies as women without knowing. Because when your period is delayed and things like that. But there is where the minute you go to a healer and 80% of what they're saying doesn't resonate, it's not your space. It doesn't mean that, sometimes people think that they go to Gogo Dineo because it's Gogo Dineo, she's worked this person and this person has spoken about it. But spiritually, we might not really be vibrating at the same frequency. So I might be a healer, but my abilities might not be for you.
My people have not called you to heal me, basically.
Yes. So I've indicated what the red flags are.
Yes.
You know, for people to really be careful, because a healer is one actually that brings out the healer in you.
Yes.
That's what a true healer is. So I need to be able to empower you to know how to actually connect to your healing abilities. You come to me to hold space. And that's why I say to people, when people are not mentally stable, I don't do anything. No matter I've seen a lot of people and I'm like, but do you understand that you've experienced you've been through huge traumatic experiences? You are actually in mental disorder. You are in emotional discourse. How are you going to absorb all the teachings and the learnings of being a sangoma? Because there's such huge responsibilities. How do I expect a 14-year-old to process information like that? So sometimes you're right. It's not just a calling, it's also a mental illness that needs people who are trained. Because we used to, in ancient Kemet, you would only be a qualified healer after 40 years of initiation.
That makes sense.
And because,
that makes so much sense, because I've always been like, how do people do the Ndwaso in a year and they already know? I'm like, this isn't, just Ndwaso is decades.
Do you know how people get traumatized when I say I've got initiates who've been with me for 2.5 years? They're like, oh my God, I can't deal so long.
And that's little.
Yeah.
That's little.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, guys, there's no way you're going to learn that stuff. There's just, it's impossible.
It's impossible. What about people who initiate in 3 months? 3 months, they are done.
So that's what I was saying to you.
I mean, I've been a Sangoma since 2012, but I've only had 36 graduates. 36. In the 12 years, I started training in 2016. So about like 6 years later, I was in Ekobela, but I only have 36 in 6 years. As Gogo Dineo, someone who's very well known, because I've said no to a lot of people. Be like, oh, Gogo, I feel you. You know, me and you have a vibration. I'm like, your people gotta feel me. And for your people gotta feel me, they gotta feel into my things. And feeling into my things, it means that they will show you my initiation codes, that which I don't expose on social media. You know, I'm big on social media, but I'm big about teaching, not really trying to gain popularity, because popularity has led us to make mockery of ourselves. I'm about creating impact. Impact is what makes legends. I walked here and I said, Ngabonu Brenda, I saw your sister Utandiswa, I saw Ubabu Kefas, Umaleta, Umama Yvonne, and I'm like, this is what I want about my work. I want when people walk in a room, because impact has longevity. Popularism only lasts for that time, you know? So you're going to Ubungoma be a trend, but what's going to happen after 10 years when people are woke? They're going to start to tell between the dark workers and the light workers, the charlatans and the true. Then you're going to do another show about, the mistakes I made as a sangom and thinking we're going to have empathy for you.
Sure, it's a lot, eh? I don't know. I just, I find what we're going through very interesting, because I understand that because Black people have been so traumatized, a lot of us would be healers now. But I'm struggling because it's not a bigger conversation. It's not a national conversation where it's like, okay, guys, as abantu abamnyama now, we're going to start embracing isintu sethu. And here's how we're going to navigate. Right now, it's just everybody's in for themselves. There's just no...
No, but I guess it's that programming that we had from religion, the separation of things. Right? Because also to separate mental health from spiritual healing, it doesn't do it any good. Because when we speak of your nervous system, we're actually speaking about your light body in spirituality, your soul. Because your soul carries memories of your ancestors. So some of you might say, no, but but you carry the trauma of your ancestors. From the day you are conceived in your mother's womb, every pain she felt, you felt. Because as a seed, you are spirit before you're a body. And that's how powerful spirit is, right? So you need to understand that we indeed are a generation that are carrying our ancestors' traumas. We are healers because we are here to heal theirs so our children don't have to go through it. But when we are unconscious of those traumas and we think it's just about the gift itself, no ancestor gives you a gift, you are born with it. The ancestors are giving you a mission because that gift template is in your bloodline. It resides in your lineage. So the gift, you are born with it. It comes, you are born, you already are gifted in Ziga. From your mother's womb, you already have the gift. But when there's a bigger mission, because when you are given a mission, that's when you are not only just called to heal you and your lineage, but it's a bigger community. It's either your clan, your tribe, the nation, the world, the planet, the solar system. So some of us, our callings are much bigger than the planet, is to actually reconstruct the whole cosmos, because the cosmos have been really, I mean, we know that cosmology has been quite matriarchal. So we are now moving into the Aquarian era, the feminine era, and that's why a lot of women are rising up. And that's why we are becoming intolerable to certain things. When somebody says something, we easily take offense because we've been governed by masculinity, and when we rule for too long, we become toxic. So the natural order of things is that, you know, one of the sacred orders is that things happen in rhythm and cycles. So when it's time for a system to die, but when it's holding on for so long, it becomes violent because it doesn't want to let go. Because you see even how it's happening in politics and social systems, because that's where the violence is coming from. We are not wanting to naturally let go and surrender to the emerging feminine frequency that's emerging.
And I love it. The feminine thing that's happening now, where you're like, listen, I'm not going to listen to the men right now.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
No, but it's also not about gender. People need to understand that. It's not about gender. I mean, I'm a mother of 4 kids, and one of my kids is transgender. And I'm realizing that when we speak about masculine and feminine frequency, because you've got quite a masculine energy. You direct,
I do.
you're unapologetic.
Yes, I
you know,
do.
you're raw, you're brutal.
I'm a boy.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
You're right. That's a masculine energy that you've got, because we exist in polarities. We're not either ors.
Yes.
So we have the both masculine and the both, you know, feminine.
Yes.
So it doesn't make you less of a woman because you've got this masculine energy. But also everything...
It's not a gender thing.
No,
it's not about penis or vagina. It's an energy.
It's an energy. Yes. But also every energy also exists in that. It has, even in your masculine, you do have your feminine.
Yes. Absolutely.
You know, so I think we're moving to feminine because, like, you know, the toxic masculine has given birth to patriarchy, and, you know, patriarchy thing is that system has been about we are in charge and we are here. But the African system, it's actually about the flow, right? It's about a dance between these two energy systems.
And you know what I find people confused? They think matriarchy means the woman on top. No. Matriarchy means a duality between...
It's a dance.
Because they're like, no, the opposite of patriarchy is matriarchy. You're like, no, matriarchy is about the king and the queen.
Matriarchy says a king needs a queen to sit on the throne. A queen needs a king to be ordained as a queen. So that's what it is. Because Emandulo, no king would sit on the throne without a queen. You needed to be married, and you needed to go through initiation. So if you actually look at the movie Gashaga Zulu, there's different iterations where he gets kicked out and he goes and trains in the regiment Yagamtetwa. He was actually going through initiation to become a king. So people now, because I've got a royal bloodline, I'm now king. Because kings were actually trained to understand that their governance is for the interest is the community they're serving. So do you see how our political system is so skewed? We cannot change. We can't want to build a new system from the old system that has created it. Because what we did is just we changed faces, but the system is still the same.
Same system.
Yeah, but
so we need a complete overhaul.
No, we need to dismantle the system.
That's what we're saying, a national dialogue of our African spirituality, because that's what was stripped from us.
And a national cleansing. I mean, there's so much bloodshed that has happened in this country. And you see every time when we are headed towards the new year of Africans, which is in September, there's always blood loss. There's always this big tragic events, homophobia, xenophobia. There's always an attack. Blood has to be shed. Because
even the fact that we don't know that our new African New Year is September, you know? There's going to be a lot of people watching and like, what are they talking about?
You should bring because he knows a lot about the African calendar.
Yes.
And I think part of it, like I said, that as healers, we work within what we call a sacred triad, which religion has called the Holy Trinity. So everything that has been, that we operate within natural laws, or God's laws, that we don't, and I spoke about one of those laws, the law of consent. We do not interfere with the law of consent. And there's what we call sacred order. And I spoke about things happening in rhythm and cycles. And because we are out of cycle, and we've been for many years since religion, because our New Year is in September, but we celebrate it in January, post the new, because September is about newness, things coming to light, right? So Tina, see offline, see off the system, right? And when we are off the system, how are we supposed to really...
Even our months, they used to direct us. We don't know the months, the names, the African names.
No, don't ask me what they are in Sepedi. Don't ask me what they are in Zulu. So
Silimo and what you know.
But they had meaning, because it was actually giving us an indication of what's happening in the season.
Time, this era, we need to do this.
Yes.
Because there's a season for everything.
And there's a season for everything. And we are not supposed to be in a happy season all the time. So that's when people also get misled, because they go to Sangomas thinking that I must be in my making money season all the time. That's inorganic. That's why abantu batwala, because they're wanting to live an inorganic life. You need to go through your highs and lows. Things open up and they close. It's hibernation. When you are on your low, it's to hibernate, it's to reflect, it's to self-introspect, to ask, am I still on the right path? But people want to go that's why when people go ooh, very badly. Have you seen how when people get very extremely popular too quickly, and you've seen that, Marijuana, when did you build? When did you come into the field? When did you become a musician, by the way?
I know.
Why are you all of a sudden? And it goes it drops very badly for them. Like when somebody's like, well, you're a soccer star, and what happened to you? You know, you're a famous Sangoma.
We've seen it.
Yeah, because it's inorganic.
Because you haven't done your cycle.
You haven't done your cycle, and then there's logos, right? And one of the sacred logos is that we do not interfere with people's sovereignty. So everyone is given that divine freedom. Like, everybody needs to live within their freedom. You don't interfere with that. You don't interfere. You do not work with people who've not asked for your help. So that's why I'm worried when people start to give too many DIYs. This is how you make money. Did people come to you and say, this is what...
you see?
And when we are rescuing people who have not asked to be saved, that's a problem, because people drag you down the mud with them. So this is the sacred triad we work with within spirituality.
What's the importance of surrounding yourself with good people and good energy? How does it impact? Because we're wrapping up now, and I definitely want
that's very important. I mean, I think what young people need to understand, that your tribe becomes your vibe, and your vibe becomes your manifestation.
Yeah.
So if you are surrounding yourself with people who are definitely vibrating low, are negative all the time, speaking about the bad all the time, your life is going to be about that, because we are co-creators of our lives. So nobody is out there pulling the strings for us. We are pulling the strings along with somebody out there. We give input and data. So if you want something to happen for yourself, you got to make it happen. You are getting supported. So even when abantu bati, baya tagata, because that ancestral energy of tagati, you've opened yourself up for it. If you are violent, vicious, and bitter, right, when you are full of hate, all you speak about is hate. Of course, kuzozaleli belithakatha lizosondela bese bathi amadlozi amabi. No, idlozi lakho lelo, not all ancestors. Right? So you cannot, I mean, the sayings that birds of the same feathers flock together, it's very true. So I also understand that I protect my space a lot, and before I go into things, I ask, Minang Pahlile, that's why you're so mellow today with me.
It's not because you're meeting the real me. It's not that, it's all you.
No, but it's also because this is the truth. When people speak with the truth, I know if you don't agree with something, you'll definitely say.
Yeah.
But it's really important, because saying it's about creating boundaries. And boundaries creates a safe space for you. And within a safe space, you are able to thrive and take flight. Otherwise, you won't.
Thank you for giving us your Monday. I can't believe it.
Thank my husband too, because Monday is our date day.
I know. You guys, she is working all week, but she chose to be with us today. Gogo Dineo, thank you for such a fruitful and beautiful conversation. Keep growing.
Yes.
Magwande, I'm sure you will be back. Hashtag Unpopular Opinion, guys. It was a pleasure hanging out with you. I'll see you guys next week with the next fabulous South African. Jantan. I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion.